My name is Art Mongillo. I'm the Manager of Policy and Communications for the Connecticut Council on Problem Gambling. A lot of that entails advocacy as well as maintaining our social media and web presence.
I'm Diane Goode, the Executive Director of the Connecticut Council on Problem Gambling. So our stance is very neutral. We are not for or against gambling. We are not the fun police. We are not telling people they shouldn't gamble or go to the casinos or buy lottery tickets. We just want to make sure that there are safeguards in place in case people run into trouble when they do gamble. There are lots of people that can gamble for fun and it is not an issue, but for some people it is an issue, and we want to make sure that they know there's help for them. The Connecticut Council on Problem Gambling is a nonprofit that advocates for treatment and prevention for people who have a problem with gambling. We are, as I said before, not for or against gambling. We are very neutral. We just want to make sure that there are safeguards in place in case people do have a problem with gambling. We want to make sure that there's funding in place as gambling becomes easier and more accessible. We think that that's really the biggest problem with gambling right now. The way it stands right now is in order to gamble, you need to go somewhere. You need to go to a casino, you need to go to the corner store to buy a lottery ticket, you need to get up and go. When gambling is on your phone, it's going to be much, much easier for you to be at home in your pajamas, buying lottery tickets, sports betting, and things like that. So we think because of that accessibility, more people are going to run into trouble. So we want to make sure that people understand the implications of gambling over their limits, and we want to make sure that there is treatment and prevention in place as gambling expands.
And I would say make no mistake about it with the potential expansions that are being proposed before our legislature this session, and we're talking about online lottery, online gambling, sports betting, a new casino potentially in East Windsor, potentially a casino in Bridgeport. It's safe to say that with expanded access will be additional problems, and we just want to ensure that the safety net for treatment and prevention and recovery is strong enough to handle that.
Some of the other things we're looking for is we'd like to see a gaming commission, a lot like what they have in Massachusetts. Right now, all the gambling is in consumer protection, and we would really like to make sure that there's one dedicated group that's looking at all gambling, casinos, lottery, off-track betting, sports betting, all of that. My feeling is because it's not a fair fight. There are 4 of us in this office. We cannot compete against the casino lobby, the lottery lobby, any of that. And what has worked out really well is we can work together. It is not in the casino's best interest or the lotteries or the OTB organization's best interest to have problem gamblers. So we can all work together to make sure that that doesn't happen. Right now we man the 24-hour helpline. So 24/7, you can call, you can text, you can chat to get help. And what we will do once someone does connect with us is try to get them into a Better Choice program. We work with Problem Gambling Services, which is part of the Department of Mental Health, and they run Better Choice programs around the state. So our goal really is to connect people with a counselor. But there's no one-size-fits-all with this gambling thing at all. So some people may want to go to GA, and we can make sure they know where those GA meetings are. Some people who call our helpline are family members of gambling addicts, so there's Gam-Anon as well. And then there are the Better Choice treatment programs. So we really try to connect with people and find out what's going to be the best treatment option for them. So right now, we don't have Better Choice programs everywhere. And we'd like to be able to cover the entire state. So we would like to see another Better Choice program up towards North Central Connecticut, which is kind of where the new casino is potentially going to be built. So we would like to make sure that the whole state is covered. We would like to do a better job marketing our helpline. We think that more people need to know that there's help out there for them. And that's one of the things that we will be spending if we do happen to get increased funding with all these new expanded gambling options. One of the things we're going to be doing is expanding our helpline.
Yeah, it's an awareness issue, primarily. Awareness of the fact that problem gambling is an issue. It's an addiction. It's medically recognized in the DSM-5, as well as sort of the options for treatment that are available to our residents.
That's the biggest issue, I think, is it's a hidden addiction. A lot of times if someone's addicted to alcohol or drugs, you can tell who that person is. You don't have any idea who the gambler is. And I remember, I've only been here since May, and that happened to me where one of the first training sessions I went to in Massachusetts, there was a woman sitting next to me, totally put together, beautiful suit, looked like she was a counselor, and I kept asking her questions. Then we went into one of the training sessions, and the person said, "Who's in recovery?" And she was one of the people in recovery. I had no idea. You have no clue. You know, you could be sitting in a room full of 50 people and have no idea who those problem gamblers are. And that really is the problem. And it's also a problem for family members, because you don't know what's going on until all of a sudden the 401k is gone, the kid's college fund is gone, you haven't paid the mortgage in 6 months because your spouse or your partner is gambling all that money away. So that really is one of the biggest problems with a gambling addiction, is you have no idea who those people are.
And you know, they say each problem gambler touches 9 people in their lives. So it's not just a problem that's relegated to the gambler themselves. It could affect their bosses, their friends, their family, et cetera, et cetera. And so we just want to make sure that our organization not only supports the person who has the problem with gambling, but their family as well. I have a family connection to problem gambling. I grew up with gambling very normalized in my family. They say not to give children lottery tickets for presents, for example, because that sort of creates the normalization of gambling. Well, that happened to me throughout my entire life. And so just having that close connection to the issue, but never realizing that it was an issue, sort of raised red flags for me and spurred me on to want to become part of this community.
I got into it by sheer luck. I've worked for nonprofits for a very long time, a lot of it in food insecurity. Worked for a food bank, worked for a food pantry. I dealt with a lot of people in poverty, and we never asked if people were gambling when they came to the food pantry. We asked a lot of other questions. Why are you here? Unemployment, domestic violence, all of those things. We never asked about gambling. So I never really made the connection until I came here. And for me, it's been great because it's a whole new area for me. I understand nonprofits and how to run nonprofits. I did not understand this problem gambling issue. So people have been great to me. I've been able to ask all the crazy questions for the last 10 months, and it's been absolutely wonderful. So to be able to learn about this issue and the impacts to the state of Connecticut, been great.
Absolutely. We found that the previous demographic was older females who sort of suffered empty nest syndrome. They were going out to gamble for recreational purposes, and some unfortunately got caught up with the addiction. Now that demographic has really shifted towards our youth, college-aged males in particular, because of things like video games and the blurred line between gaming and gambling with loot boxes, mystery crates, et cetera, et cetera. So as technology has sort of evolved, the demographic of problem gambling has shifted accordingly.
And that's really one of the things that we want to work on, again, with increased funding. We want to work with high school kids and especially college kids. We just want to make sure that gambling is a question on the survey. Kids are asked a lot of questions about sex, drugs, alcohol, food, all of that. We want to make sure that gambling is one of those questions on the list because it really needs to be more normalized.
I would say that though, you know, as Diana sort of correctly pointed out, you can't really tell who a problem gambler is. We've always encouraged folks to have the convo, and that's one of our hashtags on social media as well, is if you suspect there's an issue, have the conversation. Don't do so in a judgmental fashion. Talk about the issues of the day and sort of work it into your normal conversation. I think you might be surprised with what you might find. There are a lot more problem gamblers hidden in plain sight out there than folks realize.
And one of the things that I always want to make sure we mention is we are such a collaborative organization. It is not just the 4 of us in this office. We work with so many other organizations. We work with the Better Choice programs. We work with the casinos, the lottery, OTB. We work with the state. And I think that really makes us a stronger organization. One of the things that we've really been able to do by working so closely with the casinos is to be able to make sure that they're training their employees for 2 reasons. Sometimes these employees are problem gamblers, but also they see a lot of problem gamblers. And so we really have been working with the casinos in empowering the employees that they can raise their hand. Because sometimes they'll be at a table dealing and the person will be there for 8 hours. The person working at the casino goes home, they hang out with their family, they eat dinner, they sleep, they come back, and the same person is in the same clothes at that same table. And in the past, they really have felt like they can't do anything about that or say anything about that. And that's one thing that's really changed by all the work that the council's doing.